Yesterday was a very tough day. When news started to circulate out, I think every person, including myself, all thought it can't be true. It's got to be fake news, right? And so I remember checking my first, go around at Instagram, and the only account that was talking about what had happened was NBA memes, and they were paying tribute to Kobe. I said, oh, it's the memes account, no problem. It's not real. It's definitely not true. But then, as more news sources continued to post and verify what was going on, the unthinkable was confirmed, and Dwayne Wade put it best. Yesterday was a nightmare. Yesterday, the unthinkable and the unimaginable became a reality. Something that shouldn't have been was, and everybody, including myself, was just hoping that the bad dream would end and we would wake up. I even woke up this morning trying to think, maybe it really wasn't true. Maybe it was just a really, really bad story that wasn't true. And when they interviewed the number of people that were interviewed yesterday, every single person started off by saying, I'm at a loss for words. And I want to unpack why this is so tough to process, what makes this that much more difficult than an average tragedy, and what it means for us on a larger scale. So let's start off with what it means at a very superficial level. Okay? On the surface, the world lost one of the greatest basketball players of all time. The accolades speak for themselves. 15-time All-Star, 5-time champion, MVP, 2 times final MVP. The guy even won an Academy Award. For crying out loud, the resume in and of itself, no matter what age this human being was taking away from this planet, it was automatically going to be a loss. The number of communities that he affected between the NBA, the WNBA, between the Mamba Academy that he started, his development with girls basketball, his development with soccer and with sports abroad. There's nothing that this man didn't accomplish. So at a very surface level, when the world loses such a giant, automatically there is inherent devastation just from that loss. But I want to talk about from an existential level, right? When you look past the labels and the titles, and he's not an MVP, and he's not an NBA superstar, and he's not Kobe the Mamba Bryant, when he's just dad of 41, years young, daughter 13 years old, it strikes a chord with every human being on the planet. And it's tough to process. How? Why? Right? These are the normal questions that are to be asked. If you aren't asking yourself these questions, I would question as to whether or not you're a human being. Unfortunately, these answers lie outside of the realm of what we can comprehend, of what we are capable of understanding. And I think it's important for us to remind ourselves who we are as human beings and what exactly we are doing here. Boys, every single day, for 3 times a day, we recite Ashrei Yoshevei Betecha. Fortunate are those who dwell in your house. And every once in a while, it is important for us to recognize something paramount and fundamental to life. This is not our house. We did not ask to be here. and we don't play by our own rules as much as we want to and as much as we pretend to. Every single person was put here by God Himself. And we have to recognize in the back of our minds, at the forefront of what it means to be living in this world, that God is in control. And just because we can't comprehend it, just because it doesn't make sense to us, we can't be foolish enough to be arrogant or to be ignorant to say, it doesn't make sense. If I don't get it, it doesn't make sense. That's not the way this works. That's not the way this works. The way it works is, God has a method to the perceived madness that we have. And just because we don't understand it, doesn't mean that it wasn't for the better. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly why, and this was good, and this was bad, and this... All I'm going to simply say is just entertaining the question itself of how could such a travesty happen, or why did such a travesty happen, is an inappropriate question. That isn't for us to contemplate, that isn't for us to ponder. Because it's only going to cause us to question and to ruminate and to think negatively about our own existence and about the world we live in. So, if asking questions like why and how are not appropriate, what should we be doing right now? Because it feels like from when we found out about what happened till now, it's like we don't really know what to do. And so I'd like to offer a thought and see how this kind of maybe can help us in this, really tough time that we are in right now. And the thought is like this: sometimes there doesn't need to be an answer. Sometimes the only thing that we need to do is just grieve, is to reflect and to consider who we are, what we're doing here, and just go through a process that is inevitable. This is a very tough pill to swallow. The world lost a legend. The world lost a budding superstar that was to be in Gianna, his daughter, 13 years old. There is a mother that is sitting at home with no husband and with 3 children instead of 4. That hits home with every single person. I went to the movies with my daughters yesterday. That could have been me. And it's very, very tough to accept. And we're always searching for answers because life needs to make sense for us. Life needs to work for us. But God has made it very, very clear. Let me do the worrying about how things are supposed to be and why they're supposed to be. You just focus on what you should be doing. Just do the right thing. Live life the way I've instructed you to do so, and everything will take care of itself. So there's 2 things that we normally do when it comes to grief. Number 1 is we talk about the person and we relive some of the experiences that they left in terms of their mark on this world. So there were a number of stories that were circulating yesterday. One of them in particular really stuck out to me that I wanted to share. Commentator on ESPN, Jay Williams, was talking about one of the more legendary experiences he had with Kobe. And he said, there's a normal shoot-around time that all the players go to. He said, I wanted to warm up a little bit earlier. He went into the arena earlier that day. And lo and behold, he walks in and Kobe Bryant is already warming up for that game. and he looks at Kobe, and Kobe's in game form. He's moving in game speed. He's not working out the way people traditionally work out at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a night game. And so Jay does his thing, he takes his shots, and he goes back to the bench, he unlaces, and he looks over, and Kobe is still working as hard as he was working the hour and a half prior to when Jay walked in the room. And he couldn't believe it. And then for a second he says, he got a little happy. He said maybe Kobe's going to be so tired that he won't be at full max speed for when he plays us tonight. But that wasn't the case. Kobe not only was at max speed and max power, but he killed them, he blew them out, and I think he put up 30 or 40 points that night. And so Jay Williams is saying the story, and he's talking about how he goes over to Kobe Bryant after the game and he says, Kobe, I don't mean to be that guy, but I gotta be. You gotta explain what went into today. What did I witness? You know what Kobe's response was? He said, I saw that you came into my gym to work hard, and I wanted you to know that no matter how hard you were going to work, it wasn't going to be as hard as I was going to work. I was going to outwork you. I was going to outplay you. I was always going to be one level up on you because that's the kind of player I need to be in order to be at my best. And all of a sudden you see Jay Williams talking about, you have Kobe Bryant, the greatest player at the time. And Jay Williams is the source of motivation for Kobe Bryant. It's unthinkable and it's unimaginable. But that's the type of person Kobe Bryant was. And so, what we like to do is we like to relive some of the moments and some of the experiences that were shared, because that in and of itself is an uplifting piece of the grieving process. And then the second thing we like to do is we like to talk about the future. We like to talk about legacy. We like to think that our time here in this world was not wasted, was not in vain. And so I want to share a personal story with you. In my lifetime, the only close relative that I've lost was my great-grandma Nellie. Morris's grandma also. And I remember one of the last experiences I ever had with her was a Friday night. We were eating dinner by my mother's house. She was on J and 5th. Grandma Nellie lived on Ocean Parkway and Avenue M. And so Grandma was going to walk home. She was not going to sleep out. She always had to be home. And I said, Grandma, I'll walk you home. No problem. So we're going to walk home together. To go from Ocean Parkway and J to Ocean Parkway and M, maybe it's a 5-minute walk at max. For Grandma Nellie, it took us over an hour. Because every single time Grandma got tired, she sat down on a bench. And when I tried to pick her up and I said, let me help you up, Grandma, she said, no. I'm going to do it on my own because the day I can't lift myself up is the day that I don't want to walk anymore. And I can walk, so I'm going to do it myself. I have this old-aged woman who has no need to do what she's doing, but was doing it anyway. And so from that day, I made a commitment to myself that the way I was going to honor my grandmother was that if I could walk, I would walk. And so whenever you see me at the center or whenever you see me anywhere, if there's an opportunity for me to take the stairs or the elevator, I walk. Because that's my way of honoring my grandma. That's the way that I want to make sure that her life counted and was for something. And so for all of us who are feeling the pain and who are feeling the sadness of losing such a giant in this world, if there is something we can do to honor the legacy, it is to live our lives, to modify our lives based on the man that Kobe Bryant was. And we all know about the Mamba mentality. We all know about the work ethic and the dedication. And my question to you is there something about your life, is there something about your day-to-day that you can do just a little bit differently that can help honor and can help uplift the legacy of the giant that was Kobe Bryant? And the last thought I just want to share is I think we can take a little bit of comfort, a little bit of solace, just a little, in the fact that Kobe Bryant was doing something that he loved on his way out. He was taking his daughter to a basketball game. I have chills because that is something I can only dream of. That is something I can only long for. That one day my children will get old enough where I can take them to a basketball game and I can be there to cheer them and coach them on the sidelines. How many pictures and how many videos did we see of Kobe Bryant taking his children and teaching them and guiding them and being there for them? How many fathers can learn from his work ethic and can learn from his example? But on his way out, he was doing the thing he loved most. More than playing basketball, he was there for his children and he was there on the sidelines in action. I just want to read a quote from Kobe Bryant himself that can potentially help us understand who we are and what it is that we should be doing as we live the privileged lives that we have. It's the one thing you can control. You are responsible for how people will remember you or don't. So don't take it lightly. If you do it right, your game will live on in others. Leave the game better than you found it. And when it comes time to leave, leave a legend. We lost a tremendous legend, and we're really, really suffering right now. Let's do what we do best, which is rally around each other, support each other. Let's idolize and make sure that the legacy left behind is not in vain. Let's take on the Mamba mentality, and let's do what we can to honor a great, great legend. Shabbat Shalom.